So design-led culture is something that I practice a lot. Okay, in the 80s in the United States, we can call it marketing-led design. Marketing-led design. So design should be a marketing-based design. But I think marketing is a different approach, and they need design to accomplish what they're having a concept. But I think design itself is leading the culture, and I will show you some examples that are leading the cultures in the global level. And some of the work is from my work, and some work is my friend's work. So what does really a culture means? In UNESCO in 2002, UNESCO defined the culture. Okay, so many definitions throughout the world, anthropology and sociology, history, and they define their own culture. But in UNESCO, I think it really pinpoint the definition of culture. So culture should be regarded as a set of distinctive spiritual, material, intellectual, and emotional features of society or social group, and that it encompasses, in addition to art and literature, lifestyle, ways of living together, value system, traditions and beliefs. That's a good example, and all these global brands follow that trend. Okay, it's not just art and literature, but consumer lifestyle, and make a trend itself. So have a subcultures and give a value to consumers without or with knowing it, and that kind of stuff. One good example is, as you know, is Apple is creating that culture. Okay, throughout. McDonald's is another one. Okay, Nike is another one. As you know, Starbucks is another one. So how you do that? This is a formula that any new culture such as Apple, McDonald's, Nike, and Starbucks, those are all American companies. They're not just selling a product, but it creates a culture. But when they invade a culture, and later using that CM, culture maintains, culture grows, culture disappears, and culture fuses, it become a really common culture for that particular country. So, if, for example, in Korea, such as Starbucks, we have a cafe called Tabang. Right, Tabang is where this is culture maintains. We have that culture. Tabang. It was introduced in 1920. I will show you that later. But this is Starbucks. You see that, the whole environment is different. So in Tabang versus a cafe. Okay, Tabang means a coffee house in Korean, and a place for teas and coffee and drinks. Okay, but coffee is not made by beans. Coffee is made by powders and milk and that kind of stuff. And the cafes, we defined a place for coffee, bean coffee, and drinks and light Western food. So you don't sell Korean food in cafe. Okay, cafe is where you can sell the Western food. So right now, where this Tabang culture really disappeared in Korea. There's no Tabang at all, and maybe one or two in the suburban. But when the Starbucks introduced in 1999 in Korea, it suddenly invade our culture. So culture really fuses into our culture. So in 2007, about 1,020 stores in Korea. Just in Korea, okay? And they don't sell any tea. Well, they sell teas, but Western teas, not Korean teas, okay? But Tabang was introduced in 1923, but long before, I think a French visitor opened a cafe in Korea, in Seoul, introduced to our emperor. But in 1923, did a business. But that first business is operated by Japanese, because the Japanese occupied in Korea. But now it's hard to find. And when you see Starbucks, I have a statistics, I can't remember all that, but Starbucks opened in the United States in 1971, and then it became more public in 1992. And as of right now, there's 17,000 stores in 50 countries. Okay, and China alone has 2,800 stores in 2017, and 600 stores. Just Shanghai alone has 600 stores. And in China, by 2021, they will have 5,000 stores in China. Okay, so they really changed the culture. I mean, we have a dabang to cafe culture, but in China we have a tea house that really is not there anymore. Okay, so this disappearing. So with that, Starbucks being introduced in Korea, now it's at 91,808 cafes in Korea. Okay, so you're not going to have any problem, finding coffee, bean coffee, or espresso, or americano, or latte in Korea, and even it's cheaper than here. And I don't know about taste, but definitely you can find those in Korea, no problem. So simply we can say, this is a kind of universal symbol for dabang, right? So it was a common culture. The new culture was being introduced in 1999 in Korea. We tried to maintain, strongly. Then, young kids, they like Starbucks. It grows exponentially, and they become fuses into the subculture of a young youth. And then suddenly it's disappeared. And now the Starbucks and cafe culture is common and become a common culture and totally maintained into our culture system. So how did they do that? Do they need marketers? Yeah, we need marketers to read what consumers like. But marketers alone cannot do this. The thing they can do is a logo mark, okay? So people recognize, and then place, interior design, the menu, and then a package, and all this design works that needed. Okay, and then triggering the five senses of consumers really need that ingredients to affect on their cultures. And so this is it's a first design ever done by Starbucks in 1992 to nationwide marketing in the United States, and it's done by my old friend in Seattle, Honel Anderson Design. He's an awesome design firm which really concentrate on marketing, and then that you can really see their work. They pioneer the design and the franchising and globally. So this is the first design work done by Honel Anderson Design in Seattle. So they bring it to new visual codes. I mean, right now this is so common, but then in 1992, okay, it's become more flat work, and in the 1992 is the end of 80s. You still have Michael Jackson, that kind of stuff, but in 1992. Definitely it gave a new visual code to the market. So this really influenced the Starbucks into the national market in USA, and then suddenly it's globally. And you see this visual codes as a cafe, in all of the world. So making sure. So there's a design-led culture I teach my students, and I also practice this. And one of my strongest design projects, I work for Korean government, and this design is there for forever. It's like even I'm not there, it will be a generation after generation. So when I'm doing this design research work, I have to think about the national cultural aspects and national identity, and bring it to new culture, and also people from outside will not offended by it or some kind of stuff. So this is a national standard. The signage that I did in Korea in 2007. This is a project I've done for 2 years, 2005 to 2007. So this design, because doing this design work, I want to be unique. So I went to visited so many countries in the world. There was time that I met a lot of good friends too, but I don't want to be similar or look alike with other the standards. So as I want to be unique. So this is the whole system I developed. So my concept is a local culture and environment of our, Korea is diverse, and we don't want to look like, Japanese or Chinese. We want to be unique. So my idea was using the diverse and unique local cultures and environment to coexist to make Korea culture. Based on this perspective, the street name plate and building number plate need a unified design system with a durable visual expression. For instance, it's going to be forever. So it's not just one generation. It costs a lot of money to produce. It costs about $200 million to produce anyway. So I need to know the material production and law and other things. So this is how it look in Korea. How now it's everywhere. So if you have chance to watch TV or the Korean movies or anything like that, or visit, you see this design everywhere. So it's right now I travel in Korea and different seasons. How this affect on the environment and does it really people. I even started doing survey that the people still not change their mind, and that kind of stuff. So I'm showing my work. So now I am really interested in design-led culture. So I've been using a method to develop a design work, okay, based on this, and work with Chinese companies. Because China has a long history of 5,000 years, but people are not 5,000 years old. So they are contemporary. So with a contemporary mind, with a contemporary setting and the culture, we need to communicate in different ways to convince that the culture, not dominant, but get fused with other cultures and so on. Okay. Thank you. That's it.